Hello and welcome to my channel. This is going to be video 1 of the process that I use to make junk journals. Country Craft Creations has a new collection out that is a heritage product line, and it's basically for junk journals. And so I have this Petals and Letters collection, and remember the paper that they make goes all the way to the edges. There's no white borders, and I'll show you that in a minute. And I do have a walkthrough of this paper on my channel. And then there is a companion junk journal kit which has like lined paper and a calendar and a tracker and things like that. So this is the paper collection I'm using. So the first thing I do is I kind of go through my fabrics. I like my junk journals to look very vintage, and so I have some old laces that I have purchased at garage sales and different things like that. So I went through and I looked at the color of the paper, and I started to gather white. And then as I looked at the paper, it was more of a cream color. So these are some of the laces that I might use, and I might use them in the book and on the cover of the book. I usually like to have some sort of lace on my cover. So I just grabbed a few that I thought might work. This one has pearls on it. When you're using the lace, I put them on the edge of the pages. Some are more vintage looking than others. This was cut, but I thought maybe I could use a corner piece down here or something. So I just grabbed everything, not knowing this could be a page, like a tab. I just grab whatever. I don't know if I'll end up using it or not, but I have it if I need it. So laces were first. You don't need a whole lot. You can just use little snippets too. And I have doilies that I can use. Okay. Here's some tatting, I believe they call it. This I don't think I would use this for the cover, but I'm not 100% sure. Maybe if I steamed it or something. It looks pretty ratty. I don't know. Oh wait, which is the right side? This is the wrong side. This is the right side. So I don't know if I would use this on the cover. Not sure, just grabbing it for right now. And then I have this lace that I haven't used yet. Okay, so that's what I did first. Next, I thought about my signatures. And so what I did was I went through my papers, and there's a lot of papers here to work with. So I'm gonna have leftover papers where I can make probably a second journal. And I just kind of started laying them out into 3 different groups, because there was 3 of each pattern. And so I made 3 different piles and put one of each type of paper in that pile. And then I wanted to fill in with my old papers that I have and different little scraps of receipts or pictures or bags, just random things. So then the next thing, I'll show you some of the things that I gathered for pages. And I've already kind of put them together, but so I had some bags, and so I would use this by folding it in half and making that a smaller page. And then you would have a pocket here. You would cut off a sliver here so that you'd also have a opening on the other end. Let's see, I'll just kind of open one of these up. So I already have them kind of arranged. So when you are working with the papers, I gotta find the center. I have an old hymnal, like a church hymnal, and this was in the back, so I just took a page of that. This was from the collection, and sometimes I fold them in half, sometimes I fold them in thirds so that one side's larger than the other. Sometimes I fold them so that there's a pocket. Okay. Here is the cellophane bag, and I did trim off a little bit on the bottom so that I could stick something in there. This is from an old book that I had on flowers. And then one of the papers from the collection. So here's an example. This is one of the hymns, but you'll notice that I folded it up and then in half, so that when I have it, I can stick like a bookmark or a tag in here of some sort. Okay. I just had some random papers. I glued these two together. I thought it matched pretty well. And, you know, I'm not going to put them all in evenly. Like, I'm not going to just stack them in the center. I might have some higher, some lower. Then we have the regular, that's the extra kit. I have an old typing book, so I just cut out, I folded it not in half, like a third, and then I folded it into the back so that when you turn the page, there's a little pocket here and a flip out. So you can fold your papers in a variety of ways. And I have the collection paper. Here's one of those bags. So I didn't really fold it in half. I folded it about a third of the way in, and then I folded some of it back. So again, when I turn it over, I have a little pocket right here. And I could glue this down and make it a double pocket too if I wanted. So these are just some ideas for you. I have coffee dyed paper. Here was one from the collection. I folded it back and then in half so that I have like a little pocket. This is coffee dyed paper with a pattern. Isn't that beautiful? I didn't do it because I don't have patience for that. And then this is going to be the front of it. So I looked at it and thought, where could I fold it where I would still get most of the image? So I folded, tucked a little bit behind, probably about 1.5 inches behind. And then that will become a pocket. Okay. So then I just arrange things the way I like them. You don't want everything the same, like in order. You don't want a bunch of the collection and then a couple pieces of coffee dyed paper, then a couple of, you want to mix and match. So you'll notice I have collection, coffee dyed, bag, cellophane, old book. So I just kind of mix them up a little bit. So there's one of them. I'm going to have 3 signatures. So then here's another one. So this one's similar, but I'll just kind of go through. So then I have coffee dyed. Here's that bag. Folded the paper a different direction. Here's that typing from an old book. Coffee dyed with a pattern. There's that hymnal page. This has lines to write. This is the hymnal also. Here's the cellophane. Now here's an envelope, and I'm going to actually glue the lip of the envelope to the other side so that this is going to be like a flip and you can store things in there. So this will be glued on this side. And then as you go, it's just the other sides of the papers that were already in there. So then once I get those the way I want, I usually push them all the way to the crease, and I usually have a clip that I, ooh, ouch, that hurt. A clip that I put on there so that they stay together. Ow, that really hurt. And then the last one, I folded the paper a little bit differently on the front. This is from a book I had. There's that coffee dyed paper, but now it'll have a pocket because I folded it differently. I had an old tag, like a garment tag, I think. There's that bag. I folded this one a little bit differently. Now I've already punched holes in this one to bind it, so I gotta make sure I try and keep them lined up. Okay, so very similar. Now, I do need to make sure that I have this lined up. So how am I gonna do that? I'm gonna go to the center. I probably shouldn't have pre-punched. See, I have 5 holes in here to bind it with my string or whatever I'm gonna use. So I'm gonna make sure that these holes are lined up with my awl here. Yes. Okay, good. All right, so those are my 3 signatures. So when I put them in the book, most likely this will be first, this will be second, and this one will be third. Or do I want it like this? I think I want it like this. Okay, so that'll be the order that it goes in my book. Now I have learned that I need to do the signatures first, then do the cover, because by the time I add my embellishments, it gets very thick. And a lot of times I've made like 3 signatures and I made the cover first, and I was only able to fit in 2 because I did not make the spine wide enough. So I have learned to do my signatures first, do my decorating, and then I go and make my cover so I know how wide. Because right now it looks like, oh, you know, 1.5, 2 inch. But by the time I get all the laces and stuff, it will get pretty plump. Okay. So that's what I did next. So once you have things arranged, now I have some things, other things that I'll embellish with. So I had some tissue that I'll probably be adding on. Just go through your stuff, and it could, look, it's ripped, but that's okay. I have a book of receipts, so, and I'll probably ink that to make it look aged. I do have some old photos and postcards. And I have a piece of canvas here with the picture printed on it. I went to a blue fern collection I had from, was it Blue Fern? Or yeah, it was Blue Fern. From Country Craft Creations, and I had a lot of ephemera left over, so I just picked out some pieces that I thought I could work with. Here's another picture. So the collection also comes with these pages that I will be able to use as decorations also, and pockets and tags. I did pull, let me get this out of the way. I went and looked through some of my other stuff, and I had more things pulled up than I thought. Now right now I thought, oh, that doesn't really match, but by the time I ink it up, it will. If you have butterfly embellishments, I mean, you can just go to town. This is your time to use up scraps, because you can make anything work pretty much. And color-wise, it doesn't even really have to match color-wise if you don't want it to. So I have some coffee-dyed material that is pleated. There's that receipt book. I will have some charms that I'll pull from, and pearls. I have this kilt pin that I can add things to, and I might not use all this stuff. I have some of these words. These are a Tim Holtz collection. I have some fabric. This might go on the cover with like a, I don't know yet. A drawstring bag that I might use on the inside. I have that tissue paper from like a pattern. And I took out some random fabric that might work. So I'm trying to decide, do I want my cover to be this and then add, I haven't decided yet. I might cover my chipboard in this fabric and then add some of the paper. Now I have another video that I did that I showed you how to add some sparkle to your embellishments. It's a product I had not heard of before. So I added a little sparkle to some of them, and I might do some more, but I have a video that shows you how I did that. So I'm just going to put all this stuff in here so that it's all in one spot, because my desk does get pretty messy. And I'll probably rummage through my stuff even more once I have my signatures put together. And I'll put my signatures in my book, and then I'm going to decorate it so I know how much room I have to work with. I have some old scraps too that I might glue these coffee dyed. I don't throw anything away with this coffee dyed paper because it's so pretty. I might glue this in and make pockets or just decorative borders. So I have those out too. Okay, so there's different ways to bind your signatures. I think I already showed you that I have 5 holes. I'm going to be doing a stitch to do mine. I have 5 holes. A lot of times I only do 3. Sometimes I just use seam binding and I don't put any holes, and I just wrap the seam binding around it and the book and tie it on the outside. So there's different ways to bind, but I will show you how I'm going to do the 5 hole. Okay, now you can measure and make yourself a template when it comes to putting the holes in your signatures. You would just measure. So my book's 8.5 long, so I knew the middle point would be 4 1/4. So I wanted a 4 1/4 inch hole. I knew I wanted holes about 1 inch down and 1 inch up, and then I found the center between the holes there. So you can just get a piece of paper and make a template if you want. Now I do have this cradle that I got for Christmas that I have not used yet, that I'm going to use for making the holes. It just kind of holds things in place. So I found out that one of the things I don't like about this, there's markings like lines, but there's no numbers on here. So what I had to do was take one end up here, and you want to make sure that your book is in the order that you want. And you're going to find the center. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and clip this so I keep it in the right spot. Okay. And then what you do is you place this in this cradle and you push it all the way to the end and all the way down, and then I had to use pencil marks. This is metal, so I can erase it, but I had to put pencil marks on the spots that I measured out myself. So if I were to get another one, I'd definitely make sure that there were numbers on it. This one does not. So once you have it pushed down in there tight, you know what holes you're going to do. You're just going to take your awl and go straight down in those 5 holes. Okay, so I'm going to take this out. And both of these screws come off because you can use, if your book is longer than 8.5, there is a way to use this with a longer book too. So then what I like to do is to go back and make sure that my pages are lined up and I can get the hole all the way through. I should have another clip. I'll have to find one. So by doing this, I am also making the holes just a little bit bigger so it's easier to thread. Oop, that one was too much. Okay, so let me get another clip. I know I have one. Let's see, where would it be? If you were a clip, where would you be? I know I've got some. I don't know where I put them. Do I have another one here somewhere? No. Oh, I'll just use, this isn't very tight, but I'll just use this for right now. I like to use these clips because they're more sturdy. But I just want to make sure I don't lose the positioning. Okay, so there's the second one that has the holes in it. The third one, I'll do it one more time. Now I'm glad I marked with the pencil so I know which holes to use. I'm gonna try and push down as much as I can. Find the center. Slide it underneath this device here, go all the way to the end, and I want to push that down. The decorating part is so much fun for me. You don't have to measure really, just you can tear and add all these fun things. This all was provided. I have a sharper, a thicker one, and I like this one because it's not as thick. Doesn't make the hole quite as big. Okay. And then when I take it out, I'm going to put the clip on so it doesn't move. And then I'm going to make sure that the holes go all the way through. So I just take that all a little bit deeper than it was. Oop, went all the way through. Okay, so I'm going to set this off to the side. And so now I have different threads I can use to bind those together. So let me show you some different choices that you can use to bind.